Today's video is going to be like an introductory kind of video. I want to explain my fitness journey and how I got here, why I have such a huge passion for fitness, and yeah, that's mainly it. So what's up guys, I am Kelsey D'Antonio. Obviously if you are watching this video you probably know that. Right now I'm attending the University of New Mexico here in Albuquerque, where I am declaring a double major in psych and nutrition. I am super interested in nutrition and just how nutrition affects your body, because obviously, as we all know, nutrition is like the most important aspect of, I guess, training in general, because you can't out-train a bad diet. And with my degree in psych, I plan on doing something in the field of drug and alcohol counseling. That is another huge passion of mine that only probably a couple people know about. People who are really close to me know that. And yeah, right now I am doing personal training at a local gym here in town called Body Elite Fitness. It's a 24-hour gym. I do macro consulting for people. I write nutrition plans for people. So that's a little bit about me. So I just kind of wanted to move on to my fitness journey and what got me into fitness, and I guess the direction I want to take with fitness. And yeah, so let's get into it. I was always super active growing up. I played like every sport you could possibly think of. In middle school I ran track, played basketball, volleyball, I don't know, maybe that's it. But yeah, I have always been a super competitive person. When I set my mind to something, it's like it's gonna happen no matter what. In high school I played on a really competitive national volleyball team, and our high school team was actually really good too. So always super active growing up. I guess just always had like a really determined mindset, and I've always loved to win, and just I love competing with people and being in that competitive environment. I think it was my senior year of high school, so this would have been 2015. I've been asked a lot, like, oh, have you ever thought about doing a show? Like, you have a really good physique for it. And I kind of didn't really know what it was, I guess. Like, I've seen pictures of competing, but it wasn't really like, oh, that's something like I want to do, like I want to do that. So senior year of high school, after volleyball ended, I started lifting. I really liked lifting, and I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna start meal prepping, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna get shredded. I want this. So I actually found a coach, and he's like, look, let's start prepping for your first show, like let's just jump into it. So I started, my very first prep was very hard. I didn't realize how hard it was gonna be. I was super excited, but at this point I was also very young, and I'm still young, but I was very, I guess, kind of naive to the fitness industry and to what it even took to compete and to get to that level of leanness. So basically for this prep, I was working with a coach, and obviously I'm gonna do what they tell me to do, like that. I didn't know any better. So I was put on a pretty strict meal plan. It was just like a meal plan, like meal 1 you're eating this, meal 2 you're eating this, meal 3 you're eating this. I was doing a lot of cardio. I mean, I don't think I really had a solid foundation to be cutting for a show, but it's kind of like you gotta start somewhere, you know? So I didn't really have like a time period to put on muscle before I started cutting for my first show. So I did come in like pretty little. I mean, I was honestly just like kind of skinny. And that prep it really put things into perspective for me, because I was like, damn, like this is hard. Like, it's a hard sport. I really struggled with like a lot of emotional eating that prep. So if something were to happen, like there were times that prep that I binged like maybe like 2 weekends in a row, and I was probably like 4 weeks out. And obviously like I know now that that's not something I can be doing, but obviously if it was my first show and I was super restricted. So yeah, that was really hard for me. So I did my first show, and honestly, I loved it. Like, it was so much fun. I loved the process. I loved like the changes I saw to my body every week. And then from then on, I was like, this is something I want to do. Like, I loved it. I loved the process. I loved everything that came along with it. So now moving on into my first improvement season, or off season, I guess, as most competitors call it when you're trying to put on muscle. I did not really reverse diet. I kind of just ate what I felt like. I mean, I was on a meal plan, but I didn't necessarily follow it. But I knew that I did need to put on a lot of muscle if I wanted to be competitive in the federation that I was competing in, which is NPC, if I don't think I mentioned that. So this off season, I kind of just lifted heavy. It wasn't super structured or anything, but I did put on a lot of muscle. I did put on a good amount of fat also. It comes along, I guess. And basically I was lifting heavy and I was eating a lot for my very first improvement off season. So I was in an off season for about, I want to say from like June of 2015 for my first show to about May of 2016, because I started my second prep spring break last year. This prep, I was actually working with the same coach that I worked with for my first show. He dieted me and trained me and everything. So this second prep, I was a freshman in college. This would have been last year, 2016. I was prepping for the Dennis James Classic in Arizona. And I actually planned to do about 2 other shows last year also, but that didn't really work out. So anyways, for my second prep, I used a strict diet. I was doing a very good amount of cardio. I got down to like twice a day, 45 minutes a day, probably eating like 800 to 1200 calories. Filling it. My last prep, I was pretty exhausted. I was very restricted, and I think I lost a lot more muscle than I should have, being that restricted and kind of doing things more drastically, because I did just do a 12-week prep. But anyway, so prepped for that show, did that show last year, and from then on, I actually decided to start working with a new coach. So I contacted him and I said, look, I'm competing in Arizona in a couple weeks, and I want you to reverse diet me, and I want to put on muscle because next year I want my pro card. I want to compete in a national show, and I want to be competitive in a national show. So did the show last year. Again, loved the process, but I was freaking exhausted. And yes, prep is exhausting. Yes, you're gonna get to very low calories. Yes, you're gonna be doing a crap ton of cardio, and you're not gonna feel like the freaking Energizer Bunny. Like, I get that prep is an extreme, but I was done with being restricted. I was done with being on a set meal plan where I was told you need to eat tilapia and asparagus for 6 meals a day. I was done with it. And I mean, not throwing any shade to people who love that diet, because I mean, it works. It wasn't for me personally. So the day after the Dennis James Classic last year, I got my starting macros from this new coach, and I was not looking back to restriction and being told exactly what to eat on an everyday basis. This past off season was honestly probably the hardest off season that I had, just because I did deal with binge eating a lot. I was really restricted, and when you're that restricted, you like, after a show, you're like, give me all the freaking food. Like, I want it all. I want to eat everything in sight. Like, it was bad. Like, I was working nights at the time. I would come home, you guys, and like it was bad. Like I would like eat my whole freaking pantry. Like it was bad, and I don't know, it just, I was done with being restricted, because personally, like being that restricted for so long and then like overloading your body with food is not healthy. And I was like, I was so done. Like I was like, I want to live a balanced life. I want to have a good relationship with food, and I want to be able to just like be happy and be able to eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm full. And like that's not what I was doing. So this last improvement season was definitely the hardest. I was trying to reverse diet, but to be completely honest, like I wasn't hitting my macros every single day, because like I would binge some days and then try to make up for it the next day. And I mean, eventually like I kind of got a hold of myself, and I was like, okay, like I'm fine, like the food's not going anywhere. But I mean, it was hard. So this last improvement season, I did put on like a lot of muscle and a lot of strength, and I got to the heaviest I have ever been. My heaviest I think was like 132 pounds, and just like my stage weight is like 103 pounds, so that's like a really big weight fluctuation. I'm gonna have to put on fat to put on muscle, obviously. Like I get that, like I'm definitely fine with being more thick, but it was like, I don't know, it was kind of uncomfortable, just because I'm not used to that. Like I'm really comfortable sitting at like 117 to 120 pounds. It is my sophomore year now of college, 2017. This is my third prep. I am implementing flexible diet. I've been so much happier. Like you don't have to be completely unhappy in your prep. It's something that you're doing because it's your choice. Prep is my choice. It's not, I'm not gonna punish anyone else for me being on prep. Like yes, I definitely get irritable with family, with friends, and I really have to remind myself like, okay, this is my choice, it's my prep. I can't complain and whine for something that I chose to do. So anyways, this is my third prep. I'm still just doing cardio 2 times a week. I think that's helping to preserve a lot of muscle. I'm not as tired. I know I'm gonna get more tired as I go, because I am still about 10 weeks out right now. This year I plan to do 3. I am definitely going for my pro card this year. I want that more than anything. Whether I get it this season or next season or 3 seasons from now, I'm going to get it. And when it's the right time for me to get it, I'm gonna get it. But I will not let anything stop me. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I want to be the best. I want to compete against the best, and there's nothing else that I want more than this. So anyways, I didn't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about myself and my fitness journey, and I guess just how I started getting into competing and the whole fitness thing. And you guys, you don't have to compete to like be in fitness. Like you don't have to compete to want to better yourself. It's just, like I said, like I love the competitive aspect. I love challenging myself and like pushing to a goal. Like there's nothing more that like sets my freaking heart on fire than this. When I'm training, I am beyond happy. I don't think about anything else. Like it's seriously my escape. And training, like I feel like I'm on top of the world, and like I tell this to people all the time. I love it, and I love the fact that no one can ever take that away from me. Yeah, I'm really excited for this year and to be sharing my journey with you guys, and yeah, sharing my journey to the stage with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that little video about myself. I know I feel like I'm like talking really fast, and I don't know, that I like forget to say a million things because I'm not that great at like talking to a camera yet. But anyways, let me know what you guys want to see. I've gotten tons of questions about like macros and nutrition and how to set up your macros and how to even count your macros. So I plan to do a video about that. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel.